In my previous writings and recordings, you've heard how by the time I turned 18, I had stumbled upon 3 books that radically transformed my life, namely The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and The Story of a Soul by Saint Therese of Lisieux. This was my departure from the state of fear, worry, and uncertainty engendered by the superstitious beliefs in which I had been raised, which said that some people are destined to be rich and some are destined to be poor. And the fact that I had been born into a poor family was the will of God, which I should gratefully accept, struggle through life, and hope to reap my reward in heaven. The moment it dawned on me that man is the architect of his own destiny through the exercise of the power of his mind, I developed a new passion for life. I stopped feeling inferior, stopped making excuses, stopped blaming God and my parents, and went on an adventure to find out the secrets by which children born into poverty elevate themselves into world leaders, inventors, and billionaires. In those our days, when you were rich, you were labeled as a nyongo man, that is, someone who belonged to a secret cult. My community demonized wealth to the level where talking about money made you feel guilty, and we took pride in being God's blessed poor. With this mindset, we misquoted and misinterpreted the Bible so as to justify the claim that our condition was our God-ordained fate, which we would exchange for heavenly bliss after death. Money is the root of all evil. It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven. Blessed are the poor. We were fascinated by the story of Lazarus and the rich man, to the point of even thanking God that we were not rich. Little did we know that these are not what the Bible actually says. Little did we know that we were actively using the tools of religion and cultural conditioning to reinforce the state of poverty in our subconscious minds, thereby guaranteeing the creation of more poverty. From the age of 18 to the age of 38, I read about 1,500 books in the areas of spirituality, philosophy, literature, psychology, sociology, education, biology, chemistry, physics, engineering, medicine, technology, anthropology, metaphysics, quantum physics, business, theology, history, and self-help. While in the university, I overheard my girlfriend complain to her cousin, "What kind of man is this who buys books before thinking about what he will eat?" She was disappointed to find out that the reason why I had only 1 pair of shoes, 2 pairs of trousers, and 4 shirts was not because I could not afford clothes, but because whenever I had money, I would first buy a book before thinking of anything else. After graduating from the University of Boya and making a brief stay in religious formation with the Fokulare movement in Fontem, I returned to Bamenda, where I met a new friend who was studying in the major seminary in Bambui. He had a healthy bookshelf and a computer that he hardly used since he was always in school or doing pastoral work. This new angel in my life gave me the spare key to his room, and I bought a flash drive. Every morning, I would trek from Njimafo to the Bamenda Hospital roundabout, spend 2 hours in a cyber cafe downloading ebooks, trek back to my new sanctuary, download these ebooks into the computer, and read for about 6 hours a day. For a period of 2 years, I read an average of 5 books a week. Yes, I accomplished this feat using a borrowed computer. And guess what? Even the internet time was borrowed. I came to an agreement with the cyber cafe attendant that since she was sure of seeing me for 2 hours every day except Sundays, we could as well work out a wholesale deal which I would pay at the end of each month. She agreed, and so it was. If by month end I did not have money to pay her, no worries. I knew a few people I could always beg money from, and they would give since they knew I was using it for internet. By the time I got a job or was running my own community health projects, I was already so immersed in this reading spirit that I always timetabled every other aspect of my life around it. If you ask anyone who has ever worked in the same environment as me, they will tell you that when I am not attending to a patient or teaching or doing administrative work, I am always engrossed in a book or computer. No time for gossips. Because of the way I was raised, I used to be outwardly very timid. The good side of this is that I developed a very sharp sense of perception, and you would call me a feeling person. In fact, in secondary school, when I had a crush on a girl, I found it easier to write her a poem than to walk up to her and tell her what I felt. It is this perceptive mind and feeling heart that landed me into the habit of listening to people and offering them guidance using the knowledge I had acquired from books and tested in my own life. When I started receiving invitations to speak at events, it came as no surprise. In these 22 years, I have published over 1,000 articles, written 6 books, given over 100 talks and speeches, and featured on tens of radio and TV programs. Apart from the millions of people that have been inspired by my work in at least 20 countries around the world, I have had the privilege of personally interacting with over 3,000 people in the capacity of a teacher, leader, and mentor. Through a project I designed and implemented, I made my first 1 million francs CFA when I was 24 years old, then lost it all because I was not yet financially intelligent. I have traveled to 6 countries, each trip in the capacity of an award winner, project manager, or scholar. I worked for the Cameroon Ministry of Public Health, then switched to the Ministry of Higher Education, where at the age of 35, I became rector of a polytechnic, after having taught in 1 state university and 5 private higher institutes. In the year 2010, I married the woman of my dreams, who has turned out to be a genius wife, genius mother, and genius professional in her own right. You can imagine the tough time that our 3 kids give us with their hyperactive brains, and we love every moment of it. That God-sent angel who offered his room as my sanctuary and library eventually became Reverend Father Mbungong Achiri, who preached the sermon at our wedding and has remained my twin brother ever since. I treasure books, sermons, seminars, retreats, videos, archaeological findings, monuments, oral tradition, art, culture, travel, and all the other sources of wisdom and inspiration that life puts at our disposal. But the loudest evidence to the soundness of the principles I live by is the results that have manifested in my own life and the lives of the people I have coached and mentored. This is why I will never stop preaching this gospel of self-transformation. No matter the circumstances in which you were born, no matter the circumstances you find yourself in right now, if you have a mind that can read these words or listen to these words and understand, you have all the capital you need to transform yourself from rags to riches and from the gutter to the world stage. There is nothing ordinary about you. You are God in embryo, waiting to manifest your glory in this world. Wake up to who you truly are, and the rest will be as sweet as a romance. I am GodfreyEsoh. Thank you for following this episode of Raptures of Inspiration.